Chapter 1 The Bataks Religion Introduction. The Bataks and the people of Nias have derived practically all of their more advanced forms of religious beliefs from India, and for the most part in post-Hindu times. Certain of these higher forms of beliefs, cults, and philosophies have, tra- has, have traversed Indonesia and have passed into Polynesia, and perhaps even, as some ethnologists believe, into the New World. Some of the most striking of these Hindu layers of Batak religion include the ideas of creators and the creation, the stratification of the heavens, the raising of the heavens, the fate of the souls of the dead, allegory, animal sacrifice, and true shamanism. The Bataks were most directly affected than the people of Nias by Hinduism, for true shamanism is like in Nias, although found among the Batak's main Indonesian peoples and all of the Melanesians and Polynesians. Mentawei not only likes shamanism, but also the idea of higher gods and their creation. Allegory and animal sacrifice, however, are found in Mentawai. Since the Batak religion contains so many old world traits, which were destined to work their way across the Pacific, a proper understanding of this religion is essential for students of oceanic cultures. The religious beliefs of the Bataks may be divided into three main sections. 1. Cosmology and cosmogony, the world of the gods, the native concept of the soul. 3. Beliefs concerning gods, demons, and ancestors. Cosmology and cosmogony. The Bataks, like the Brahmans, divide the world into three sections. The upper world has 7 spheres and is the home of the gods and their families. The middle world belongs to men. The underworld is the home of the dead, the gods, and the demons. The division is not perfect, for there are many gods in the middle world, and the renowned dead are sent to heaven. Formerly, heaven was nearer the earth, and there was regular communication between gods and the human beings. But human pride destroyed the road to the upper world. Since the interruption of direct communication, the gods lost interest in mankind, and man turns to them only in hour of need. In truth, since the time was there when direct communication with Hindu sources was broken, the people ceased the customary worship of the higher gods Devata. The knowledge of these Hindu divinities, as well as the few forms of sacrifices and prayers in their honor, became the possession of the priests Datu. The high god of the Bataks is Mula Jadi Nabolon, the great beginner of being, he who has his beginning in himself. This god is a personal god according to Batak concept, and not a bare principle. He lives in the highest of the heavens. He is an odious deity who does not concern himself about the affairs of this earth and receives from it no honor or sacrifice. Yet, to this high god are attributed immortality and omnipotence, and he is the actual creator of everything, including the gods themselves. The Bataks have no traditions concerning the creation of the universe, but they have traditions concerning the origin of the gods. The Bataks conceive of the high god as an anthropomorphic figure who possesses a fabulous blue chicken, manuk, in place of a wife. This chicken laid 3 extraordinarily large eggs, out of which the 3 actual world god came, namely Batara Gugusoripata and Mangalabulan. These 3 gods live one level lower in the heavens than the high god, are always worshipped as a trinity at the sacrifice, and in fact are called the Batan Natulu, the 3 gods. However, Batarago is regarded as the creator of the middle world, the earth, and is considered the most powerful of the Trinity. Bataragugu is also Bataragugu also is considered a culture hero who taught the people arts and customs. Mangala Bulan is considered both propitious and cruel, for although he blesses and helps, he is at the same time the patron of the thieves and robbers. Coding lists the more important of the second and the third rank toba gods. They live a bit lower in the heavens than the principal deities. 1. Datu Hasi-Hasi. The priest Datu especially implores the blessings of this god at his magical workings. 2. Raja Moget Pinayungan, the doorkeepers of the heaven. 3. Raja Inda. He lives in the clouds above the visible heavens, in the first level of the heavens. There he is ruler and thunder god. He also is messenger and spy of the gods. 4. Raja Guru is the Raja Guru. He is the huntsman of the gods. He catches human souls by means of his dogs Soridau and Autopoguru. These dogs can be heard in the rusting of the air which precedes a storm. When the souls of people are caught, the people themselves suddenly die. Gods and spirits of lower rank and in part indigenous also are worshipped. These include horse gods Debata Hidup, earth spirits Boras Patinitano, and water spirits Bogus Sanyang Naga. The Bataks make no idols or representation of their gods other than the wooden dolls called the Bata Hidup life gods. These gods are supplicated by childless couples. They are informed male and female. The husband takes the male doll, feeds it and treats it as a child, and the wife the female. The Bataks have as the principal evil divinity the world serpent Naga Padoha. This god lives in the underworld. The creation concept of the Bataks is limited to the creation of the middle world, the earth upon the primordial sea. It happened in this manner. Borudeak Pokjar, all-knowing, daughter of the god Pataraguru, leaped from the upper world into the limitless sea because of the unwished for courtship of the god Mangalapulan. A swallow informed Bataraguru of the plight of his daughter, and he sent back with a swallow a handful of earth. This handful of earth was set down upon the sea, and growing larger and larger became the earth. As the earth commenced growing, it took the light away from Naga Padoha, who being vexed, gave it a shove and allowed it to float off on the waters. But Taragugu, however, sent new earth and also a powerful hero to combat the serpent. The hero sank his sword up to the hilt in the serpent and forced him into an iron block. Nagapadoha now had less room in which to wiggle. His early squirmings, however, caused the mountains and valleys to be formed, and at the present day caused earthquakes. After Bataragu had created the earth, he scattered upon it all kinds of seeds and created all varieties of animals. Then the hero again appeared as the companion of Perudia Parujar, and from her begot sons and daughters, the first people. He also, however, married a demon Begu daughter, begot Begu children by her, and finally was killed by her curse. The hero was taken up by the Bata and placed in the moon. His wife Barudia Parujar followed him to the moon. The Bataks believe in the ultimate destruction of the earth, for in the end, Naga will earn his way loose and destroy the middle world. Coding has pointed out the identities between Batak and Hindu mythologies. In the Hindu accent, Manu is the first man likewise a world creator. Krishna is killed by the curse of a woman and is reincarnated with Vishnu or creates a heaven for himself. Dia Bagujar, the all-knowing, remains one of the Brahman's wife Saraswati, the patroness of science and earth. This relationship of the principal gods to Brahmanism is clear. The word Devata itself is Sanskrit. In Malajadipnapulan, we find Brahma personified as Swayambhu, he who exists to himself, the golden world egg in which, out of which Swayambhu came as the god Brahma, and as such created the world and the gods, is converted to the Batak myth with three eggs from which the gods arise. The speculative element of Brahmanism is omitted and the earth rather than the universe is created. The chicken is an afterthought in the Batak legend. There are eggs and the eggs must have been laid. The Trinity of gods on the second level of heaven likewise are Hindu. The names of the first two are Sanskrit in origin. Batara Guru, like Shiva, is the patron of teachers. Among both peoples, they are leaders of the gods and world creators. Soripata is Vishnu, who has a second name, Sripati, husband of Sri. Both Soripata and Vishnu are blessing, sustaining gods. The third god of Trinity, Mangala Bulan, is of doubtful origin. Coding believes that the word Mangala is derived from Bala Sanskrit Wala, meaning companion. Bulan means moon in Batak. If this be true, the god is a moon companion or lord of the moon. Shiva also had the moon in his possession and was called Lord of the Moon. At any rate, the dual natures of both gods are in close arrangement. The Linga worship, which in India is joined with the Shiva cult, is unknown among the Bataks except for tomb engravings. The soul concept, Warnek, the most noted authority on Batak religion, defines the word Tondi in his dictionary as the spirit, the soul of man, his individuality. The Tondi originates while the person is still in the body of his mother and determines at this time his future lot. It exists near the body, which it sometimes leaves. This makes the person sick. Therefore, one sacrifices to one's Tondi and tries to keep it in good humor. The soul concept in Indonesia is the important factor in religion, while the idea of mana or supernatural power is almost absent. Thus, the word for soul is built into just those compound words where the Melanesians and Polynesians will invoke the idea of mana. For example, the Toba word for feet is Pertondion and the word for luck Pertondion Nadingan. A trace, however, of the idea of man is found in the Toba word Sahala. While all people have Tondi, the power of the various Tondi differs, only the Tondi of prominent people have Sahala. Good fortune is the basis of all Sahala. The Bataks have received from the Hindus a fatalistic concept of life, longevity of the fortunes of the unborn child depend entirely upon the demands which the Tondi makes before birth. In the topmost heaven, in the home of the Creator, exists the tree of life called Jambu Barus. On each leaf of this tree, God has written a word such as fruitfulness, wealth, etc. Every Tondi must beg one of these leaves before departing for the middle word. The fatalistic attitude of the Bataks, like that of the ancient Greeks, is in direct contradiction to cult procedure. Still, when ordinary cult sacrifices and prayers fail, the priests have an excuse. All misfortune is predestined, and human effort is of no avail. Fatalism in the Orient as well as its manifestations among peoples exposed to Oriental influence, is a late superimposition on the naive concept of cult efficacy. While men, animal, and plants have souls, other objects, with the exception of rice, iron, and certain useful instruments, have not. Thus the Batak space the same distinction as did the classical religions between the animate and the inanimate. Contrary to the ideas of most Indonesians, the ordinary Batak believe that a person has but one tondi and that it is this same tondi which leaves the body temporarily at fright, dreams, or sickness and permanently at death. Some priests teach that people have seven tondi, but this is but scholastic metaphysics. The entire religious life of the Bata is one of self-seeking, not with an idea of improving one's lot in the next world, but of improving one's lot here now. This is done by nourishing one's tondi. Wagner writes that the fight with the tondi and around the tondi is the keynote of animistic Batak religion. The well-being of a man depends on his keeping his own tondi in good humor, on increasing its efficacy by nourishing it with the autonomy of the people, cannibalism, plants and objects, and or guarding it from other self-seeking tondis. A person is very intimate with his tondi. He prays to it and curses it. In case of sickness, he sacrifices to it, and when frightened, he will scatter rice around the ground by choking sound as if summoning chickens, and appear for the return of his soul. The Tony enters and leaves the body via fontanel. Whether or not the Tony becomes the Begu ghost after the death of the owner is a moot point among the missionaries in Batak land. Miguel writes that every toba to whom he placed the question, "What is a Begu?" answered, "Tondi na Matirui," a soul which has died. In the on the other hand, Warner claims that among the Toba, the soul and the ghost have nothing to do with one another. For the sake for the sake of those readers who desire definite information on this point, I become I recommend the following cargo proverb indicating the manner in which the tondi returns into its elements. The tondi becomes begu, the hair becomes ijuk, moving material, the flesh becomes earth, the bones become stones, the blood becomes water, the breath becomes wind. The afterlife. The Bata explained that by stating that a begu has stolen the tondi of a person. If a man dies in his prime, a female begu has taken him as husband. If an attractive woman dies, a male begu. If an attractive woman dies, a male begu. If, however, one dies in battle, then it is not a begu, but judgment of the gods which has felled the man. The Batak's conception of the afterlife is somewhat vague and not very different from the present one. All occupations are carried on earth in the night and not in the daytime. The Tondi and the Bego are very different from one another. The Tondi explains the Bataks is like a man who clings fast to his house as long as he lives in order to ensure himself sufficient food. The Begu, however, is like someone who wanders around without food or house. He therefore approaches human beings through a medium and demands sacrifice. The dead are half friend, half enemy. They are considered jealous of the living, envious of their good fortune. They especially had in an innovation any departure from the adat as they knew it. They, to the words of their mediums, are a powerful force towards conservatism. A Batak family consists of both the living and the dead, and the fortunes of the living depend On the will of the dead, the position of the dead is in the next world. On the wealth and sacrifice of the living in this world, the dead are given feasts by their descendants, and in this way are made not to spirits sunbound, or if the descendants are numerous and wealthy enough, they again dig up the bones of the ancestors, face them, and make them sumangot. A sumangot is almost on the same rank as a god, the Bata. The shaman and priest. The Bataks, as already stated, have true shamanism. According to G.A. Wilken, the conjuring of spirits into certain people in order to get the words of the spirits from these people is shamanism, while the person is called a shaman. The shaman among the Bataks is called Sibaso, which means the words. Among the northern Bataks, the shaman was almost always a woman, and the office often descended within the family. Shamanism is lacking in the islands west of Sumatra, where the more primitive form of medium still exists, the seer. The seer is to be found among all primitive peoples who lack shamanism. The essentials of the seer are the obtaining of a vision, and with the vision, a guardian spirit or spirits. The seer is then able to communicate with the spirits who aid him in curing. In the case of true shaman, the spirits speak to the shaman. In the case of the seer, spirits speak to the shaman. Both the shaman and the seer are in special rapport with the spirit world, but both are essentially elected by the spirits. A refusal frequently results in death. The shaman receives election by being possessed. The seer too, a vision which is either soulful or comes involuntarily. No Batak ever voluntarily becomes a shaman. Likewise, there is no special instruction for this provision, but when the proper shaman is dead or delayed, the ghost has to pick a new medium. The ghost enters this person and music is played with the desired result is obtained. Two varieties of drums, the gondang and the gordang, are used to summon the spirits, and incense is burned the while. Each spirit has his own melody, to which the shaman dances with wild grotesque movements among the fire. Each spirit likewise has his own color of clothing, and if the shaman wishes to summon more than one ghost, she must wear several colors of clothing. When the ghost has descended into the medium, he displaces her tondi. The music serves partly the purpose of driving the tondi from the shaman, partly to allure the ghost. When the shaman now speaks, it is no longer her voice which is heard, but that of the ghost. The language spoken has to be interpreted as it is ghost language. The head of the family to which the ghost belongs now asks the name of the particular begu, and the begu asks why he is summoned. Then both sides make known their desires, and an agreement is arrived at. For example, the begu will help relieve family sickness in return for proper sacrifice. The Batak priest is called the Datu. Among primitive peoples, the Sikhs and Samans include both sexes, but the priests are practically always men, as is the Batak Datu. It is only those primitive peoples who have been greatly exposed to the influence of higher religions who have a priesthood. Elsewhere, all of the older men are the custodians of the sacred traditions and rituals, and all are capable of performing the sacrificial ceremonies. The Batak have no college of priests, nor in fact are the Datu priests in the strictest sense of the word, since all adult Bataks perform sacrifices. Still, the Datu are priests insofar as they hand down to one another the main part of the Hindu esoteric ritual and learning. Naturally, before the days of Hindu influence, the Bataks had neither shamans nor priests. The data in fact show clearly that they originally were the seers and healers of the people. After the sieve, the Datu has the higher standing in the village. Many chiefs also function as datu, in this way increasing their prestige. The duties of the datu are many. In the first place, he is a physician and as such has to treat the sick pot and protect the healthy from sickness. Sickness is directly determined by laws, but the contributing cause may be the sick influence of a bigu, the capriciousness of the patient's tondi, or the power of a hostile magician. The datu therefore must be versed in white magic. He functions as priest only at a big feast where it is important to perform the ritual with exactitude. The datu is the sole oracle, soothsayer, and clairvoyant. He is also the weather maker. The people are able to make and drive away rain by magical means, but the datu alone can provide permanent freedom from storms. The datu not only is conversant with white magic, but also controls the black art and is the sorcerer. Finally, it is the duty of the datu to have occult knowledge handed down and tied from generation to generation. Oral tradition is not deemed sufficient for this purpose, so the first thing a pupil in magic has to learn is the art of writing. The magic books and the calendar are written down by the pupil at the detection of the datu. The paper bark of a forest tree, brass, and a native ink serve as writing materials. The books contain oracles, prayers, and exorcisms. The course of studies for a pupil of magic involves great difficulties and pecuniary sacrifice. The man who can afford it and who wishes his son to become a datu invites the chosen teacher to a feast at which the prospective student ceremonially feeds the master. After this, the pupil must put the datu, and frequently his entire family, in order to receive instruction. He must first learn the 19 shift signs of the Batak alphabet, next the vowel signs, and finally actual reading. Then only follows instruction in the magic art. Since all beginning is difficult, the tondi of the pupil reacts against the reception of the higher science of reading. In order to remedy this condition, the teacher now takes energetic measures. He goes to a river with the pupil. Then he stuffs a handful of rice meal into novice's mouth and ducks him under the water until he has swallowed the rice. This done 7 times. The datu then makes it a food offering to the ancestors and the gods, praying that his pupil acquire more wisdom and that the instruction will enter to him. The pupil then is taken back to the village and his tondi rewarded with food. If the pupil still has difficulty in learning the rudiments of the science, the datu makes a second and last attempt to cure his stupidity. The two go at night to a mountain on whose peak the tribal ancestor abides. There, uttering a spell, the datu recounts the dullness of his pupil over a pot filled with magical implements. He then places the pot on the swaying point of a bamboo shaft, this being done in order that the pupil's stupidity shall escape into the wind. On the return of the two men into the village, the datu again gives the elder hope for a successful completion of the course of studies, but only after certain necessary presents have been handed over. If, however, the second ordeal also fails, the datu gives up the course of instruction. Winkler, to whom we are indebted for this description of the training and duties of the Batak datu, believes these ordeals to be observable of the initiation of shamans, the daki representing a symbolic death, while the nocturnal visit to the mountain top signifies the formal communication of the apprentice with the spirits during his course of training. I myself can see in the darkening of the candidate, nothing more than the customary form of the Batak ordeal. This a common Indonesian test, and the swallowing of dry rice was a specific Batak ordeal. It is probable, however, that the trip to the ancestral mountain top is a survival of the vision quest of the former Batak seer. The Datu is summoned for all public offerings, which he conducts through the summoning of such gods and spirits as are desired. He does this in a sacred language. After this, he moves to the scaffolding where the sacrifice is to be made and offers it up, and the burning of petroleum. The offering, which consists of cooked rice, the heart of an animal, sirih and palm wine, is thrown into the air by the Datu. In the meanwhile, of the officers, armed with sticks and weapons, run around the place as if possessed, driving away the evil ghosts who would make the sacrifice fruitless. This ends the sacrifice. Sickness, as before noted, is ascribed to soul loss. And nevertheless, the Bataks are aware that certain forms of sickness are due to natural causes and treat these forms of disease with proper herbs. Often sickness is ascribed to carelessness in the ancestral cult or to other sins. An epidemic or any great disaster is called sumbang by the Gayo, that is incest. Idols of wood armed with spears and lances are sometimes placed before the entrances of villages to keep away the Begu who caused the epidemics by stealing the souls of the inmates. In the case of a mysterious ailment, if the patient is able to pay for cure, a doctor often is summoned to recover the lost soul. The doctor himself makes various kinds of mysterious movements to drive away the surrounding Begu. In the meanwhile, a crowd of the younger relatives go to a place where it is thought that a hostile being is keeping the abducted soul prisoner and beg for its return. Then the return and the Datu defines by Christ kernels as to whether or not they have brought the soul back with them. If they have an even number, they are reassured, but if the number is odd, the lamentations begin at once. This is done so that the sick person might know how he will be carried over after he is dead. The toba makes use of sweat bath as a means of exorcism. For the sweat bath, manayas, the fruit and leaves of various kinds of citrus are taken and mixed with assorted herbs in an earthen pot, which is placed between the outstretched legs of the patient and is covered by a number of blankets, so that the steam will go over the entire body. This form of sweat bath is used for cases of fever, the rheumatism, skin disease, and for the bite of a mad dog. In many of the regions of Toba, a complicated form of sweat bath is used to cure mental ailments of various kinds. It is supposed to expel the spirit which causes the disease. Steam is lit into a vat by a clay-covered bamboo pipe. The patient creeps into the tent and allows himself to be enveloped by the steam. Usually, in the case of spirit intrusion, the dart is summoned to expel the begu from the patient. This can be done by the use of leaves, roots, or bark, where accompanied by proper formula. Often, the evil spirit is transferred to some animal such as a chicken. After this has been done, the chicken is killed and the spirit rendered harmless. The datu, as before stated, is a poisoner as well as a healer. While witchcraft is not so prominent a feature of the higher primitive civilizations as it is of the lower, still the Bataks are well known for their skill in mixing deadly potions. I have heard it stated by a member of the German Missionary Society that one of the early teachers was poisoned in Batak land by eating the fruit from a tree which had been tampered with which had been tampered with by a hostile Datu. Unlike the Mentawei Islanders, who poisoned to the credulity of their victims, the Datus used real poisons, both animal and plant, as for example the poisonous hairs of the bear caterpillar, the liver and the sting of poisonous sea fishes, the poisons of snakes and centipedes, poisonous mushrooms, the carrying sap of different trees and herbs, and all kinds of poisonous plants. Arsenic and rat poison furnished a new addition obtainable by trade. The mushroom was considered the most deadly of this array, and while for the others the Datu had antidotes, for this there was none. Some poisons resulted in instant death, others in death only after days or weeks, while still others caused a long period of invalidism. For all healing one says, Morton dido, they have done thee. For all poisons and poisonous preparations and magical means, one says, Morbigu they have begu. So the poisonous mushroom is classified under the saying Dani begu, mushroom of begu. Naturally, the Batak used credulity to a large extent as an aid in poisoning. All manner of symbolic action is gone to at the time of mixing lethal preparations. The way in which one chops, pounds, roasts, dissolves, or buries and allows the magic to rot is imitative of the manner in which the enemy will be destroyed. In the same manner in which one burns through a with large dot with a glowing iron, so will the victim be struck with the disease. Naturally, the roasting and charring of the poisons weaken or destroy their deadly qualities, but according to the animistic ideas of the Bataks, they are rendered more deadly through the process. Poison nebisa is applied externally to the victim, while the cold rasun is mixed with food or palm wine. It is not even necessary, however, to bring the poison into contact with the person. It is sufficient to bring it into his neighborhood, to his bathing place, or to place it under his house. Gangrene and malignant tumors may thus be caused by working for a distance. Sympathetic magic also is used. The Datu obtains a hair of his chosen victim, or a piece of his chewed betel nut, a piece torn from his clothing, or some earth on which his foot has pressed, or his shadow fallen. These exuviae are then mixed with the poison, or the Datu may on some propitious occasion, such as at a crowded market, measure with a stick the length of the body of his enemy, but it is sufficient for the Datu if he only know the name of his victim. Then he initials the name on a piece of bamboo bark, scrapes the writing off again with his knife, and mixes the peelings with the poison. Finally, the Datu is indispensable in time of war, for a conflict cannot be started without his advice. He must determine a propitious time for a battle. Sometimes his knowledge, his sorcery books and tables are not enough. He then consults the Pangulu Balang, the fearless guardian spirit, magic staff. Every Batak guru must own a magic staff tunggal panaluan. This is a stick carved with ancestral figures and a hole in the center in which the magic substance Pangulu Balang is placed. The magic staff is used by the Datu to produce rain and to protect his village against enemies. The spirit of the Pangulu Balang is supposed to combat the hostile Pangulu Balangs. The Datu is able to communicate personally with the spirit of the Pangulu Balang. The making of a good magical staff takes many months of time. A new one usually is made when a subdivision of a ship parts from its parent ship and wishes to have a magic staff of its own. The making of such a staff costs much money, as many sacrifices as necessary during the progress of the work. According to the legend accounting for the origin of magic staffs, each has to be made from the wood of a special tree. The Bataks believe that it is a great misfortune to give birth to twins, and in former days, one of the twins was usually put to death. It is a still greater misfortune if the twins are opposite sex, for then if they have not already committed incest in the womb, they will certainly do so later on in life. Once twins of opposite sex were born, were allowed to live, and did commit incest. As punishment, they were turned into wood while climbing a tree. Three datus, one after the other, were thrown to wood on the tree while trying to rescue the twins. The first magic staff was made from the wood of the tree on which the twins are and the datu had died. The human and animal figures on all staffs are said to represent the datus and the twins, and all are made from the same variety of tree as used in the first time. Because of the initial wrath of the gods, this wood is especially potent to frighten the enemy in time of war and to produce rain. For opposition, on the other hand, believes that the figures on the sticks represent marriage between, between heaven and earth, and that the origin of the sticks is in India, where dolls are common. This the subject is still the process of study. The idea of marriage between Father Sky and Mother Earth is Indian, and recurs again in Eastern Indonesia and Polynesia, although it is lacking in Western Indonesia. The Pangulu Balang, or spirit within the stick, appears to be folk belief of Indian origin. According to Cook, in northern India, a magical substance called momiai is claimed to be distilled from the live juices of small boy. The medicine thus made is the medicine thus made is used for healing and renders the owner invulnerable. The Batak Datu must steal a child from a hostile village in order to obtain a pangulu balang. When the chief when the chief and the Datu have recognized the necessity of the undertaking, the Datu consults his calendar and selects a propitious day for the expedition. At the appointed time, the warriors assemble. They are entertained and fed in order to strengthen the tondi for the difficult undertaking, the wages being paid beforehand. They set out that same evening. A child is kidnapped either from a field, hut, or from hostile village itself. Muffling its cries with a cloth, they bring it back to the village sopo, communal house, where it is held prisoner and fed weeks and even months with the best of foods, including good cold rice, spiced meat, sour fish, especially the liver of all kinds of house animals, apes, and other game animals. A sahan, a buffalo horn with a hole in its end, is used to give the child palm wine. In this manner, the tongue of the child is made willing and ready for everything that will be demanded from it. 3 or 4 years is considered the best age for a child to be used in the preparation of the pangulu balang. For such a child is old enough to answer the question put to it, but young enough to be unsuspecting. When the tongue of the child has been properly propitiated, the Datu says to it, I am going to send you to destroy my enemy. Wherever I send you, there must you go. You must never, however, reveal either your or my name to anyone, nor the manner of your death. If the child refuses to obey, it continues to be well taken care of until such time as it is ready to accede to anything asked of it. The child is led blindfolded out of the village on a day reckoned favorable by the Datu. After placing it in a ditch with earth around it so that only the head remains above ground, the Datu asks once more, "Will you allow yourself to be sent by me?" If the child answers yes, the Datu puts some food on its mouth and speaks to it kindly, saying, "Here, take this special meat, take this raw rice, take this ginger, take this roasted rice kernel, take this palm wine, and be obedient." Unsuspectingly, the child answers Imatutu, "Yes, certainly." The Datu says, "Open your mouth so that I can give you something more." The child obeys and receives in his mouth the point of the drinking horn from which he has been accustomed to drink palm wine. Boiling red is immediately poured with the child's mouth, and he dies a quick but painful death. The vow, however, when the child has taken with his last words binds, is done after that. The operation has succeeded, and the village has obtained in the God's world a willing and obedient ally for the fight against the enemy. Since the ghost of the child remains in contact with his body, the magical substance pupuk can be prepared from this. The body is dismembered. The body is dismembered, part are charred with other magical ingredients, and the whole filtered into a pot. The pupuk is divided with the pulp is divided among the datu of the subships and is used to be sold or make potent all images and idols from which magical power is desired. The magic staff is one of the most important vehicles for the pupuk, sacrifice and prayer. A religion simple terms consists of a belief in spirits, actions which are appropriate to such a belief, and the emotions which accustom these actions. The belief in spirits is customarily termed animism, while the actions are labeled the cult. Peoples who are above the most primitive stage of civilization, but who as yet have not been converted to one of the higher religions, have the sacrifice as the mainstay of the cult. Then the Bataks call their own Hitan Sipili Begu, people who sacrifice to the Begu. The Batak sacrifice clearly shows its Hindu origin, and in the Hoda Debata, the horse sacrifice we find in a slightly altered from the Hindu horse sacrifice. Coding believes that the sacrificial system of the Bataks must have been borrowed in either pre-Brahman times or else at the earliest Brahmanistic period. The sacrifices are performed by the horse father, and the Bataks lack idols, temples, a caste system, and a real priesthood. However, since much of the Hinduism of the Bataks doubtlessly came by way of the empires of Sriwijaya and Majapahit, toba is listed as a dependency or tribute payer of the later empire. This point is not well taken. The Hindu empires of Sumatra and Java had these traits, as do the people of Bali today. The primitive Bataks, however, merely borrowed what could be adapted with a certain amount of alteration to the old systems. A church system among the democratic Bataks would have been almost as much of place as it would have been among the Crow Indians of Montana. The philosophy of the sacrifice among the Bataks is a simple one. The ancestral cult furnishes the continuation of the family's soul cult. One informs the departed concerning all important family matters. One still relies on their aid and expects their blessing, since one remains a member of the great family, the living and the dead. The forefathers who live in the next world have a higher power to help or to injure than have their living descendants. It is therefore of the greatest importance that this power be used correctly to increase the prosperity of the group, to injure our enemies. When the dead are not directly needed, they are sedulously avoided. Almost any member of the family might perform the simplest sacrificial cult in giving offerings for deceased father or grandfather. The sister and granddaughters alone are excluded. However, at ancestral sacrifices, the oldest member of the family performs the priestly office. Even women may sacrifice under special conditions, as for example, widows and childless women. The woman sacrifice inside the house. They must be competent to recite the prayers without mistake. The sacrifices are intended for near family relatives. It is only at great sheep sacrifices, at the time of public calamity, or when some large undertaking is at stake, that the datu chief of some professional sacrificer is called upon to perform the office. Sacrifices are made to souls, ghosts, and demons, and to the gods. The fact has already been mentioned that every Batak sacrifices to his own soul. Otherwise, the temperamental Stondi would not yield to the best interests of the owner, would refuse goods given to its master, or might even leave to its sheltering body entirely. Furthermore, one sacrifices to the Tondi of all living relatives. The Tondi of the house animals are not sacrificed to, since they themselves are used in offerings, but dangerous wild animals such as crocodiles and tigers receive sacrifices lest them harm people. Plants such as rice and coconut trees receive offerings to encourage their growth. The more useful of the inanimate objects are propitiated. The fisherman sacrifices to his canoe, the hunter to his guns, and the carpenter to his work tools. Even the family has received offerings via the heart, and after the birth of a son. The house spirit itself is conceived of as being incorporated in the friendly little house lizards, which are spared and fed by all. The souls of the dead, whether they are simple beings or have been turned into sumangot, are, are more important for the living than the souls of the living. The dead are especially sacrificed to at the time of bad dreams, sickness, or misfortune. They serve as a whole sacrifices to the dead ancestors, the Sumangot. After the nature spirit sacrificed to by the toba are the water spirits Sanyang Naga, the earth spirit Boraspati, incorporated in the lizard rain spirits, Baguja, also the creator of the earth, and wind spirits. There are also nature spirits in streams, wells, whirlpools, trees, mountains, and waterfalls who everywhere threaten human beings. Occasionally, sacrifices are made to the lightning, clouds, stars, and the new moon. While both the sun and moon are spoken of as being alive in the Batak stories, there are no traces of sun or fire worship. While special sacrifices to higher gods are a rarity, there are summoned at many other sacrifices and invited to eat. It is a peculiarity of the Bataks that besides the special spirit summoned to receive offering, many others are invited for fear of giving offense. The usual place of sacrifice is in the house where one has intercourse with the family dead. The sacrifice is allowed to lie on the balcony. Offerings to the dead also are laid on graves immediately after the death and whenever the mourners feel their loss. Large sacrifices to ancestors are made on bamboo altars in the marketplace and in the mountains where the dead ancestors have their dwellings. All varieties of domestic animals are sacrificed, excepting dogs. Light colored animals are consecrated to the heavenly spirits, and the dark animals to the of the world. Other sacrificial gifts include cooked meat, rice, vegetables, fruits, eggs, salt, ginger, butter, milk, cakes, palm wine, tobacco flowers, leaves, ashes, implements, clothes, and pieces of red and wine cloth. Every god receives the goods to which he was entitled during life. The spirit received the soul of the sacrifice, the worshippers of the material portion. The soul goes off as the smell, so cooked food is left on the altar until cold. At the time of certain animal sacrifices, the soul is said to be in the blood. Sometimes blood is allowed to drip down on the grave to nourish recently departed. As among all people who perform cult sacrifices, the spirits are deemed stupid and easily deceived. Thus, one kind of a sacrifice is called panaluan and is given to atone for the sins of the relatives of a woman when she is childless. 3 grasshoppers are sacrificed and are called cow, buffalo, and horse, respectively. Horses are offered up in a great sacrificial feast for 3 gods of the Trinity. Every toba sheep has a sacred house consecrated to one of those gods. It's the throne that is the symbol of the presence of the divine tribal fabric of his descendants. The black house is sacred to Batara Guru, the brown house is to Soripada, and the pivot to Mangalaburan. Each sheep, in accordance to which of the 3 gods is attached to its descendant, possesses a black, brown, or pebble horse. These sacred animals are inviolable and non-alienable. They are not confined but graze anywhere with impunity. When a sacred horse, Hoda de Bata, has grown old in honorable service, it must be replaced by young beasts of the same color. For this purpose a feast is arranged, at which the old horse is sacrificed to the god appropriate to its color. A lucky day speak out with the aid of the calendar, and the sheep members, including the woman, assembled in the village of the Hasif, who, as a manager of the feast, has already obtained a black brown of piebald young stallion, selected for its beauty. Then 2 sacred horses, the intended victim and its successor, are unveiled, the ears of the young horse being decorated with flowers and sweet-smelling herbs. To the strains of the native orchestra, both horses are conducted to the center of the village, where the men entrusted with the duty of slaughter and every creation await their office. They kill and skin the old sacred horse. The pelt is washed and laid over the rangin, the crudely cut image of a horse with simply a tree trunk hollowed out on the underside and ending in the image of a horse head. Then the rangin covered with the hide is brought to the chief's house, where amid a food offering of rice, sacrificial cakes, fruit, white colors, and the purifying lime juice, the datu offers the hide to the god as a covering for his throne. Sprinkled with the consecrated water, the hide is then left in the house for time being. The people return to the village, where the datu summons the 3 gods, Mulajadi, the Batak creator and father of the 3 gods, the Natu gods, and the ancestral spirits of the consecration of the new house. A man comes forward with a plate of sacrificial cakes and a small sack of rice kernels with a chicken's egg or gambir nut on top. When the datus has summoned both the gods and the ancestors of the both sexes up to the 7th generation for the blessing of the people, the young horse is sprinkled with lime juice water. The participants scatter rice kernels over its head, praying, "On this worm may we remain healthy." The young horse is now led back to its stall. Through the further shower of rice, the people return to the house of the chief, where the ceremony ends in music and dancing. The god, stimulated by the orchestra, enters his medium word of the chief to inform the people that he has received the sacrifice and will give them help. After the feast, the horse flesh is divided, and everyone takes his portion back to his village to eat. In a manner similar to the Dravidian tribes of India, the Bataks formerly practiced human sacrifice. At the present time, the pagan Batak still sacrifice to the earth god Boras Patigmitano when they ram the main pillars of her house into the ground. This is done to atone for having disturbed him. One records that formerly in one of the northern sections of the country of a living slave was buried beneath it or the house post. Human sacrifice when the life of a slave was not taken was usually of a voluntary nature. This sometimes occurred at harvest festivals. An animal was killed and related families shared the meat. The youths of the sacrificing party divided into two bands, and armed with reed lances or with stones, fought a some battle. Passions arose on both sides. The married men joined the married men joined with the youths, while the women looked on and incited the combatants to fix the struggle with cries and clapping of hands. For complete success, for complete success, blood has to flow and a life be lost on both sides, so that there would be no cause given for blood revenge. Occasionally, a sunbound occasionally a sunbound visited Datu in his sleep and designated a certain person who has hated by the Datu as victim. The fatal red jacket and white turban were then put upon the sacrifice. In 1864, somebody demanded the life of the missionary Miss Normanson, but the natives failed to attack him although he was alone and unarmed. More often, the Sambawan simply demanded a human sacrifice without designating the victim. Datu then sent people to all the villages of the district crying, "Who is tired?" When anyone answered, "I am," he was destined for the sacrifice, whether he were a powerful or lesser personage. When some answer, "I am," it is a sign that his tondi has designated him for sacrifice, for the tondi determines the fate of man. The next morning, the victim and a buffalo were tied to a sacrificial pole. All the people streamed to the place of sacrifice, beat drums and danced around the pool. With praise, the sacrifice was given over to the Sambaon for the forgiveness of the people. The spectators spread on the bondman as a sign that they transmitted faults and misdeeds to him. Finally, the human scapegoat was released and allowed to run away, but he lived scarcely a month, for he was avoided by all, since his life was given over sacrificio to the sunbound, and no one would feed him. His death was a sign that the sunbound has accepted him. Prayer is a necessary element of every sacrifice. The prayers are spoken in a stereotyped form, and very polite language is used. The longer prayer, the greater the honor to the being addressed. Sometimes the supplication extends an entire half day. At great sacrifice, the daughter recites the prayer. He must be properly attired and decorated for the occasion. The Batak prayer is not a magical formula, nor is the sacrifice a magical ceremony. The gods and the spirits are back and not forced by prayer. The Bataks also have magical formulae, but these are not connected with the sacrificial system. In order that a sacrifice be successful, it must be accepted by the spirits. The people decide by omen, thinking whether or not their plea is heeded, or the to contest the matter by divination, or the spirit may be allowed to speak for himself to the medium. Tabu. The system of tabus is known to extend from the Nagas of Assam to Indonesia, Melanesia, and Polynesia. It is from Polynesia, of course, that we have taken over the word taboo into our own language. The Roman used the word sacer, word taboo, indicating that a thing was set apart for the gods and therefore the opposite of profanus. Properly speaking, the breach of a taboo should be punished by the gods rather than by human agency. The cargo system of taboos has received special study by Neumann. The three words used by the cargo for taboo pantang, rebu, toba, robu, and kemali all indicate the prohibition of an act which, if performed, would be a breach of religious law. It has been noted, however, that among the Bataks as among primitive people in general, all law is religious law. There is no other law than the adat, and the adat is but God's ancient custom. Likewise, there is no sin other than innovation, for an innovation is a breach of customary procedure and therefore taboo. Kemali does not so much indicate that the thing is forbidden as it does that a thing is strange or unusual. It therefore is set apart because it is dangerous, powerful, or potent of disaster. Kemali always indicates the weight and extraordinary. It is Kemali when a colored cloth is seen over a village in the daytime, for it indicates that a chief of the village or one of his relatives will surely die. If one meets a red snake or a locust with 4 feet, one trembles before the oncoming anger of the gods. Yet the very things which are most dangerous are also the most useful for working magic, and all magic is in fact is thought to have originated in the inches of twins, as noted in every magic star. Pantang, Toba, Subang is a prohibition governing routine and expected matters. It is based, however, on God's fear. Thus, the members of certain ships are not allowed to eat the white carabao, since this is their totem. It likewise is pantang for a man to cut his hair, carry dead things, or swear when his wife is pregnant. Any of these acts would injure the fetus. Things are pantang when they hinder or hold back the working of other things. Thus, the Datu places certain restrictions on the sick who are prohibited eating and doing certain things. Rebu corresponds the most closely to the Polynesian taboo. Rebu is the isolation in which a person or thing is placed, either because the person or thing is sacred or because it's unclean. Contact with a rebu object would be religious desecration and would bring disaster. People and things also are isolated for their own sakes when they are rebu, lest they be contaminated by the profane. As already noted, a newly married pair is rebu. They must spend the first hour or 7 days in the house, nor may they receive visitors. At the birth of a child, nothing can be taken out of the house. An entrance to the house is forbidden to all except those who are needed to help the mother. A building newly completed is rebu for the first 7 days. No stranger is allowed entrance to the village, nor may the people of the village come into contact with the outside world. A town also is cut off from the contact with the outside world at the time of epidemic. The fence is made of draconia leaves and wooden images with ribbons in their hands keep off the deceased bigu. Sheaves are especially rebu. It is considered, as already noted, sacrilegious to kill a chief or one of his wives in time of war. The house of a chief is rebu, and a criminal can find asylum there. Parents-in-law and children-in-law of the opposite sexes are rebu to one another, and therefore must avoid mutual conversation. If a death occurs, the entire village is rebu for a day and no work is done in the fields. The taboo lasts for several days at the death of a chief. One does not use the word rebu with reference to incest, but sumbang, a still stronger expression. Mereha indicates merely indecent conduct punishable by the chief, as where a brother and sister walk together, or when a man sits next to his mother-in-law. Finally, kembung is the weakest of all terms, indicating taboo and means embarrassment or shame, as when a large child runs around naked. Sacrifice involves an especially great number of taboos. The mediums who serve at the sacrifices also have to serve the taboo in their daily life. They cannot eat dog meat or beef if the cow died a natural death. They are not allowed to carry unclean objects on their heads since the spirit descends there. So many are the taboos that few people wish to be medium. Wish to be mediums. When a sheep gives a last sacrifice, there is a general state of rebu. On the first day, it is forbidden that a rush be pounded, water be fetched, except early in the morning or late in the evening, or any heavy work be performed. The rebu lasts 7 days. Everything must be kept quiet and there should be no quarreling or warfare. Whoever disturbs the rebu, whether purposely or not, incurs the wrath of the spirits until the time of the next sheep sacrifice. He also is fined by the sheep for having endangered the safety of the entire sheep. Taboos, which at one time were purely religious, gradually become secularized. Thus, in Hawaii, one sees today the word kapu painted on signs in the grass plots to ward off trespass. Likewise, the toba have the word marubu, which primarily indicated a taboo on work for a given period of time, whereas when rice were being planted. The word now indicates an action prohibited by the adat or the raja, and for the breaking of such prohibition, there usually is a punishment. The word pantang also has acquired a secular meaning, sacred number. One of the most noticeable traits which has spread from Asia into the islands of the Pacific is the sacredness of the number 7. In Babylon in India, 7 was made sacred by the astrologers who counted 5 planets and the sun and the moon. As Kubu has shown, with Babylon as its source, the number 7, like hepatoscopy, the reading of livers, and haruspicy, divination on by the flags on birds, was carried into Indonesia, and I may add, even into Polynesia. Neumann has listed the main occurrences. The number 7 in Batak religion. The Batak have 7 important gods. A person has 7 souls according to certain datus. As the soul will die 7 times and finally become a sunbound. The human half-god Singamangaraja was 7 years in the womb. He can go 7 months without eating. The rebu for newly married couples lasts 7 days, as is also the case with the Arabs. At the birth of a child, the house is rebu for 7 days. At the building of a town or dwelling, the completed work is rebu for 7 days. A child cannot be washed in the river until it is 7 days old, and 7 people are appointed to do the washing. The feeding of teeth takes place on or after 7 years. After this is done, the person can appear in public for 7 days. Circumcision is best performed the 7th year, and the individual is rebu for 7 days afterwards. The body of a dead person is covered with 7 cloths. For 7 days, the grave of the dead must be sprinkled with rice, siri, and palm wine, for the ghost remains 7 days near the grave.